Hello and welcome back to Mental Health Unplugged episode 2. Today we are going to discuss about men's mental health.
Before we dive into our topic, let's understand why we need to discuss men's mental health. Ma'am, can you tell us why we need to speak specifically about men's mental health and its importance?
Sure. So men's mental health is important and often a very overlooked aspect of the overall well-being of a person, right? So traditionally, societal expectations have placed pressure on men to be strong, self-reliant and stoic. It also discourages them from openly discussing about their emotions or seeking help when they are struggling. However, ignoring these mental health concerns that they have or these mental health concerns that are there can lead to serious issues such as depression, it could lead to anxiety, it could lead to substance abuse in a few and probably even to an extent of suicide. Let's be honest, how often have we heard statements like men don't cry, toughen up, you're a man, which have made men believe that they can't express their emotions, or specifically emotions like sadness, emotions like fear, guilt, shame, insecurity, helplessness, and even to the extent of loneliness. And it is natural for these suppressed emotions to burst out in different ways, like random bursts of anger sometimes, trying to have control over everything, increased substance usage for few, and also probably just withdrawing from society.
And societal expectations and traditional gender roles significantly influence men. Men often are reluctant to speak or seek mental health support, and because men are commonly expected to be primary providers. They need to be strong, dominant, and in control. While these qualities are not inherently negative, they create barriers, barriers to seeking support openly about their emotional struggles. As a result, men may be more inclined to turn towards unhealthy coping mechanisms like drugs or alcohol, and they're less likely to confide in family or friends about their mental health. However, research shows that men are more likely to seek support when it is in line to their preferences and is easily accessible, and they feel relevant in what they're engaging.
Alright, so let's do something. Let us let our audience know what it is that we are trying to achieve through this episode. So could you please share that?
Yes. The aim of this episode is to create an environment where men feel safe, supported, and encouraged to address their mental health, emotional, psychological well-being concerns. We are trying to break barriers of stigma, encourage an open dialogue, and promote healthier coping mechanisms while fostering a more inclusive and compassionate understanding of masculinity. By doing so, we can improve the mental health and overall well-being of men, leading to a better outcomes for individuals, families, and societies.
Thank you so much, Alchaba. Alright, so having discussed the importance of addressing men's mental health, why don't we as counselors being in this profession, why don't we share a few ways like how as a society we could follow things or help out individuals or improve the mental health amongst men. So as a society, what are some steps that we could probably take or let people know?
Sure. Acknowledge that mental health is just as important as physical health, and men are more conditioned to prioritize physical health over mental health. But mental health plays a very crucial role in overall health. Just like regular physical checkups, men should make time for mental health care and be mindful of their emotional state.
Very true, that is there. Also, I think one thing that men could do is, or we could do is recognize the impact of societal expectations that are there on men. So society often expects men to be strong, stoic, as I mentioned earlier, and emotionally reserved. These expectations can create barriers to seeking help. It's important to redefine strength to include emotional self-awareness, self-care to an extent, and also Vulnerability. It's okay to feel sad. I think that is something that men could start accepting. It's okay to feel sad, frustrated, overwhelmed. And recognizing these emotions and addressing them is essential, I feel, to break the stigma that emotional openness is a weakness. So that stigma of emotional openness being a weakness should be broken.
Yeah. Another important thing is break the silence, talk about men's mental health, because the more we talk about it, the more awareness we can raise. Having open conversations in families, in workspaces, in social settings can help us normalize and have a healthy discussion to reduce fear of judgment. One way we can do this is, using statements like, rather than just saying, "How are you doing?" we can be like, "How are you actually doing?" And be like, we can also encourage by saying, it's okay to be not okay.
Very true. Also, another thing that we could do is seek help early before issues escalate. So, early intervention is a key, and men often wait longer than women to seek professional help for mental health related issues. So, addressing problems early, whether it is stress or whether they're going through anxiety, whether it is depression or probably due through a trauma, can prevent more serious outcomes. And one way to do this is through therapy and counseling. And also understanding that these therapy and counseling are not a sign of weakness, but something that is a strength, all right? And mental health professionals do provide valuable support for men struggling with emotional challenges. And breaking that barrier that seeking therapy or counseling is unhealthy is something that is important. Also, making sure that in a proactive way that they take care of their mental well-being.
Yeah, adding to that, developing healthy coping mechanisms is important to avoid unhealthy coping strategies, because, like we discussed, men are more likely to turn to alcohol or drug abuse or indulge in unhealthy coping mechanisms to deal with their emotional pain. That's why inculcating things like physical activity, relaxation, or meditation techniques, mindfulness practices, this can help them build resilience and build healthy coping mechanisms, like, be it journaling, be it exercising. We are doing these things to reduce stress and other emotional challenges.
True. As the saying goes, self-care is not selfish. So it is important to prioritize self-care first. Taking care of one's mental health involves adopting self-care practices, whether it's regular exercise or a balanced diet, adequate amount of sleep that, probably not many are getting, or taking time off to recharge and rejuvenate. So social connections also do matter, where building and maintaining relationships with friends, with family, with community provides a lot of emotional support in that particular group. And this helps reduce feelings of isolation also to a great extent.
Yeah. Also, like, watch out for signs of mental health issues. Recognize the warning signs. It's important for men to be aware of common mental health symptoms such as persistent sadness, irritability, difficulty concentrating, mood swings or sleep disturbances or changes in behavior. Addressing these signs early can prevent worsening of mental health conditions. Take changes in behavior seriously, like if there is a man withdrawing from society or neglecting responsibilities or engaging in risky behaviors. These may be signs of mental health issue, and that requires attention.
Very true, very true. Also, I think one thing that men often forget to do is setting boundaries, because there's a space, there's a personal space and there's a professional space. So to avoid any kind of a burnout, to avoid any kind of unnecessary stress, it is important that they learn to say no when needed, and also practice this self-compassion when it comes to handling responsibilities, right? So that is something else that they could do.
Address risk factors for suicide. Men are at a higher risk. Men are more likely to lose their life to suicide, especially in the age groups under 50. Risk factors include untreated mental health issues, substance abuse, relationship difficulty, or job loss. So take suicidal thoughts seriously. If you or someone you know is experiencing self-harm or suicidal thoughts, please reach out for professional help. On campus, we are counselors are here to support you through this. Challenge the idea of toughness, redefining masculinity, encourage men to embrace a definition of masculinity that includes emotional intelligence, vulnerability, and self-care. True strength comes from the ability to confront and express emotions, not suppress them.
Right. So another thing that you could do is develop a routine. So creating a daily routine that is consistent and providing structure and stability, that it can be comforting during these stressful times. Also to trying to incorporate time for hobbies, incorporate time for relaxation and social connections, and maintaining a balance between all these things.
Yeah. Yes, to add on to that, have regular checkups, like, talk to someone, talk to a counselor, see where you're in terms of emotionally, be in touch with your friend, have circles where you trust, okay? And check in with yourself, ask questions like, how am I feeling today? Is there anything that's weighing on me? Or is there anyone in my life, that I can trust, that I can go to? So when you keep yourself in check, it can help you.
True. And talking about going to, I think it's important to stay connected because loneliness can be a risk factor. Social isolation is a major factor in mental health struggles. And building strong, supportive relationships with your friends, with your peers, your family is a key to reducing loneliness and providing emotional support. Now, there are support groups and communities where people can reach out either physically, directly, or through online, and they can share their experiences over there and gain support from people who are going through the same thing. And men, I think, find it easier to open up when they realize that they are not alone in their struggles, and that goes with anybody. So let's do one thing, Ashba. Why don't we talk to two of our male faculty members on campus and take in their inputs or their view of the entire thing about men and their mental health. I think that would give us a better perspective into what they are going into.
Definitely, let's understand from men themselves. Here with us we have Mr. Michael Preetan sir, HRE of Social Sciences Department, St. Mary's College. Let's hear it from him. Sir, is there anything that you do specifically to look after your mental health?
Yeah, mental health is something that we as maybe youngsters or when we were in college, we didn't talk much about, we didn't know much about it. But then as for the past, let's say, 5-10 years, we hear a lot about it. And as teachers, I think we do come across students who have issues with mental health. Now, if you ask me, people from my generation, I'm not saying that we are we don't have issues with mental health, but then we seem to have some mechanism by which we overcome problems associated with stress or whatever is associated with that. So in my case, my mantra would be I try to relax when things go wrong, and I don't allow situations to come to a point where it's too much of a burden or a stress on me. So I do spend time. I do watch quite a bit on YouTube. I watch some light videos. I'm religious also, so that helps. So I think it's in our case, or in my case, I would say that I think I try to keep things simple. I believe in this adage that after every sad day comes a glad day. So when you have such things in your mind, you tend to accept the fact that there are going to be times when things go really wrong, but it doesn't mean the end of the world for us. So that's as simple as that. So that's my way of handling issues related to mental health.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you for that.
Thank you.
We have with us today Mr. Shivakumar, who is the Assistant Professor, Mass Communication and Journalism, Department of Social Sciences and Humanities. So let's take Sir's input on men's mental health. And so, hi Sir, welcome.
Hello.
And I would want to ask you a question as we're talking about men's mental health. As a society, what do you think that we could do to support men's mental health in general?
See, the problem is when they open up, men perceived when they open up, they perceived as the weakness. Nobody wants to look weak. So that is pressurizing more, and that is making more bottled up emotions. And part of it's true, because when you share things, people really perceive as something else, and that's what we see. So that's the reason men won't open up. It is because they're perceived as a weakness, something, they compare with the girls. Again, that is another, stigma, stereotype around it. So we need to remove that factor. So we have to encourage the people to open up about it, so that you can have a, talk and feel free, and you can relax yourself. But otherwise, if you keep things inside, it's very hard for it to digest and move forward in life.
All right. So to sum it all up, I should just say that maybe as a society we should be more open to accepting your challenges, to accepting your feelings or your emotions when they are put forward, and you should give you that space rather to express yourself or express what you feel. Is that right?
Yes, I feel like, so there are two options here. Either you can express it, and if you can control it, control it. You have to do two things here. And if you fail to do the controlling part, at least tell people, let them judge what they can help us. It's okay to asking for help. I think that's a courageous thing to do, I feel.
All right. Thank you so much, sir, for your input, and we are glad to have you here.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for inviting me here.
So, Shubha, don't you think it was really enriching and enlightening listening from both Mr. Shivkumar and Mr. Michael? Because it's come from a man's perspective, and we as women, however supportive we could be, understanding them completely from their shoes, being empathizing with them, I think doesn't come very easy for anybody actually. So what do you think? What do you think about what they said, and how they've summed things up for us?
Indeed, it was quite insightful to hear from Mr. Michael and Mr. Shivkumar. Especially speaking of what Mr. Michael has mentioned about looking after yourself, taking care of their mental health by engaging in activities that relaxes them, and also having that positive outlook towards life. There are stormy days, but then there also will be brighter days. Like having that resilience to overcome challenges, because life doesn't spare anyone, right? So yeah, I hope our viewers these things from our male faculty are useful for the viewers.
And I think summing up today's session, about how we've talked about how society as a whole can actually help men deal with whatever they're going through, or how individually each of them could take up the effort and the responsibility to take care of their own mental health. I think that sums up today's session, and I think we're done for the day, and we will see all of you with our next episode with a different topic. Until then, do take care, do keep your mental health as a priority, and we shall see you soon with another topic.
I just want to leave you all with a thought that let's be sensitive, because it's not just about raising awareness, it's about intentionally putting in effort to make a difference. So let's be mindful of the words that we are using towards men in our society. So together, let's put in an effort to make a difference.